Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another crypto video. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto content. Today we are going to be discussing the fact, or I should say the idea, of Visa and Mastercard essentially building on a DLT. It could be HODL, it could be Ripple, it could be whatever, but I do think that at the end of the day, HODL would be the choice, and we're going to go into depth on why I think that. But yeah, I mean, I hope everybody's having a great day. Today I figured why not make a video on Visa and MasterCard possibly building on a DLT. I haven't really talked about this too much on YouTube or Twitter, but I discussed this in Discords that I'm in. We had some good talks with some people in a few HBAR Discords, and I think that this is actually a very good thing to really kind of talk about, as the financial market is essentially outgrowing Visa and MasterCard, and we'll talk more about that here in a second. So first and foremost, we see credit card market share statistics. This is more so talking about debt and credit cards overall. What I do want to talk about is pretty much the statistics here. So we see in 2019 alone, there were 45 billion credit card transactions issued by 4 major networks, accounting for almost $4 trillion. If we actually see down here, we could kind of see how that accommodates for Visa and MasterCard. We do see Visa is the largest of the 4 major U.S. credit card networks for 12 months ending December 30th, 2020. Visa's U.S. credit payments volume was $1.97 trillion, down from $2.15 trillion the year before. We do see there were 343 million Visa credit cards in circulation in the U.S. and 798 million Visa credit cards in circulation outside of the U.S. at the end of September 2020. For comparison, there were 336 million Visa credit cards in circulation in the U.S. and 737 million cards in the rest of the world in September of 2017. Now we do see MasterCard here. MasterCard's U.S. credit purchase volume was 837 billion at the end of December 2020, down from 909 billion the previous year. There were 249 million MasterCards in the U.S. and 725 million cards in the rest of the world at the end of March 2021. By comparison, there were 243 million MasterCard credit cards in the U.S. and 705 million cards in the rest of the world the year before. So we do see that MasterCard and Visa are growing in terms of demand, but the problem is that the networks aren't, right? They are kind of limited to what they could really scale at. Now, I'm not going to talk more about like American Express or Discover, as they're not really key components here. More so Visa and MasterCard, as they take up a lot of space. As we know, this is the 4th largest. MasterCard, I don't know if it's 4th, 5th, whatever, but I do know that Visa is a big player, as pretty much anybody I know has a Visa card, or even a MasterCard. I mean, I have a Visa and also a MasterCard, so these two are big players in the game, and the reason why I bring these up and the reason why I talk about them is when we talk about like Black Friday, for an example, right? Because Black Friday is a huge demand point, especially for Visa's networks. A lot of these cards actually go down. And I know a lot of people don't think that they do, but they actually do. If we go over here, we see Visa outage payment chaos after card network crashes as it happened. The problem here is just the fact that they can't scale at greater heights than what they already are. And, you might be wondering, well, what are the transactions per second? Well, when we look at Visa, they're averaging around 1,700 transactions per second on average, from the official claim of over 150 million transactions per day. Now, they do essentially, they could do more transactions per second, but the problem is it's just the fact that it can't do it with security measurements. It's the same way that HBAR, when we listen to Lehman talk about, sharding, he said, we could run one shard in the United States and achieve 500,000 transactions per second. But the only problem and the only reason why they don't do that yet is just the security measurements, because we already know that HBAR is trying to have the most amount of security possible. Now, we do see here the potential for adoption is there, but it is bottlenecked currently by scalability. Scalability is a big pain point for Visa and also even MasterCard, right? Even when we come over to MasterCard, MasterCard's doing currently 5,000 transactions per second. Now, Obviously, they are doing more transactions per second than Visa, but when we come over here and compare, Visa is actually accounting for a lot more payments than Mastercard. Now, what could these two benefit from, for example, HBAR, right? Because when we talk about HBAR, or I should say Hedera, the big key component or the big pain point that they do solve is scalability. Now, that's not the only big play out there, right? When we come over here and we look at, Hedera Hashgraph, obviously we do know that it does 10,000 plus transactions per second with the possibility of unlimited transactions per second down here. Now, the fees are astronomically lower, right? When we look at the fees for Visa and MasterCard, so I have this already pulled up, we do see 1.29% plus 5 cents to 2.54% plus 10 cents. And not a lot of people see these all that much. Now, this is credit card processing fees, which is essentially the same, if you will, as debit cards as well. So they're kind of the same in terms of this fee model. We do note that debit cards have a different pricing model, and they usually cost less for merchants. This is why you may only see a convenience fee for a credit card and not a debit card purchase. Debit card purchases, you really don't see the fees overall. Now, this is in terms of credit cards. I really wish, so we do see average credit card interchange fees as well. I wish that we could see the average debit card fees overall, but we really can't see that too much. They don't really give us that because more so that's like kind of like a fee that you don't really notice. It's probably much lower. It's almost probably the same, if you will, as like almost HBAR where, the fee is, a fraction of a cent. I do know when we do come over to the XRP ledger, this is the carbon breakdown. We do know that the kilowatts an hour for Visa and also Mastercard are about 0.0008 and 0.0006 for Mastercard. Now, in terms of this, we don't know the CO2 emissions or gallons of gas for Hedera, but we do know the kilowatts an hour, right? And the kilowatts an hour are about 0.00017. And the reason why I bring this up, and you might be wondering, well, why does that even have any significance to, them choosing Hedera to build on? When we march into this green world where we're trying to have environmental sustainability and pretty much make sure that the earth is green, whatnot, that is actually a big pain point for a lot of governments. We've actually noticed that, with the Green New Deal being implemented in the United States. There's a lot of stuff going on behind closed doors in terms of like, for example, EV trucks and tractor trailers and stuff like that. So we're really marching into a green society where, if we could bring this down at any cost, we most likely will. That is why when we even talk about the fact that, the XRP asset and even Ethereum and Bitcoin are doing astronomically higher kilowatts an hour. I mean, XRP is not doing astronomically higher kilowatts an hour, but it is doing higher kilowatts an hour than Visa and MasterCard. So, HBAR would most likely outbeat them in terms of environmentally sustainability. Now, the transaction confirmation time, I really couldn't get those statistics of Visa and MasterCard, but we do know that they're pretty much almost instant as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it is about 3 to 5 seconds as well. But I want to talk more about security measurements as well, because security measurements are a big key component for even Visa and MasterCard. That's the big bottleneck for even scalability too, in terms of transaction security and privacy and stuff like that. Whenever you use your debit card, it does have the possibility of the chip being basically rerouted or hacked, if you will. So that is a big pain point. And when we come over to HBAR, we already know that it's ABFT, and not a lot of people know what ABFT actually stands for. It's asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance, the highest degree of security a consensus algorithm can provide. ABFT means that finality of consensus will be reached within a 100% probability if attackers control less than 1/3 of the voting power over a consensus, and we assume that only the messages from an honest node will eventually get through. But make no assumptions about how long it could take to do so. Specifically, the attacker must control less than 1/3 of the stake in a proof-of-stake system, or less than 1/3 of the nodes in a system without proof of stake. The attackers can control the entire communication network in a sense that the attacker can delete messages or delay messages for arbitrary amounts of time, with only limitation being that if honest node Alice repeatedly tries to send messages to honest node Bob, eventually one will get through. And yeah, I mean, this is a big pain point. Now, I know that you might be wondering, well, why am I even talking about ABFT and pretty much, security, which we kind of already discussed a little bit. But the big thing about security, even right now, is even when something like this happens, when transactions go down, or, say for so, you're shopping for your family for like Black Friday, for Christmas, whatever. There's a lot of transactions going over that network, and networks get hacked all the time, right? Even PayPal gets hacked, bank accounts get hacked, banks get hacked. Visa and Mastercard are no different. They get hacked all the time. Your card gets stolen. There's not a lot of security measurements to really go through for Visa and Mastercard. Yeah, sure, it's not like hey, your card's getting hacked every single day, but they just don't have what HBAR has, which is ABFT. Now, again, in terms of, hey, could Visa or Mastercard be building on Hedera right now? Absolutely not. I don't think so. But could they be building on Hedera in the future? Yes, definitely. I think at some point in time, they're going to have to really account for the scalability factor. That's why even when we look at it's bottlenecked currently by scalability, Visa and Mastercard suffer greatly from scalability, security as well, sustainability, and also that low cost fee, right? So I think at some point in time that Visa and Mastercard and most debit card and debit or credit card issuers will have to build on a DLT. It doesn't have to be Hedera. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm very bullish on Hedera, but it doesn't have to be HBAR at the end of the day. It could be XRP. It could be XDC. It could be a lot of these distributed ledger technologies out there. But I do think that Hedera is the better choice because it does have ABFT. It's the only one of its kind, I'm pretty sure. Also, Hedera's tech is patented, so we do know that it's not going to be reputed or anything like that. So I think that this is a very good possibility. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. As always, I hope that you all enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys do want more free content, you guys could follow me on Twitter. You guys could also join the free Discord down in the description below. But nonetheless, I hope that you all have a beautiful day today or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out.